Hi everyone, it's Mary from StudioUs again, and we're bringing you another project that you can do right at home. Today we're going to be drawing a really cute goat in a hillside, and we're going to be coloring with markers. As always, I have my pencil, my Sharpie, and an eraser. I've got my Bristol paper ready to go, and let's get started. I went ahead and I drew our first step here. We have a nice big oval for our first shape. So go ahead and mark those outer edges as well as the top and bottom. I gave myself some dotted lines to make sure that my shape was correct, and then I drew it in. Go ahead and do that now. Up next, we're going to draw another sort of rounded rectangle type oval shape. That's going to be the head of our goat. So I'm going to mark where that shape first overlaps and where it overlaps one more time, right about here. And I'll draw in that first little shape that we have. And it's going to come off the page and around like this. All right, that looks good to me. I'm gonna go ahead and draw it in. Keep in mind that the corners of this shape are nice and rounded. Let's keep going. All right, next we're going to erase away that inside line where it overlaps. Perfect, now the head is on top of the body. We're in good shape. Let's go ahead and add those two legs. So this back leg is pretty close to the back of our oval, so I'm gonna mark where that overlaps and where it overlaps the second time and how far down it's going to go. Keep in mind that the bottom of the legs are nice and rounded as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and give me some dotted lines before it comes down and around like this. Perfect, that looks good. And one more over here, same thing, I'm gonna mark where it overlaps. Looks like it's gonna be right about here and right about here before coming down and around like that. Make sure the legs are equally as long. And once that's correct, go ahead and draw it in. All right, we're gonna add our other two legs. These ones are on the other side of the goat, the half that we can't see. So it's going to be behind this oval here. So I'm going to mark where that starts, and I'm just gonna double up, right? It's gonna match that first leg that we drew. Same thing, it's gonna be in front here. It's gonna be up just a little higher, slightly. And again, same thing, match that line. Perfect. All right, we're gonna go ahead and erase these two lines here where the outer legs are. This is super cute. So up next, we're going to draw his little tummy. And I'm going to make sure that the lines of my legs are high enough that I can draw in that stomach line. So it looks like it's going to start right about here where this outside leg meets the body. It's gonna come in like this and then around to this leg. Just like that, perfect. And then we have little tiny curved lines that are going to be the hooves. So just like that, they curve upwards. Pay attention to where those curved lines are on the leg, especially with these back legs, right? The height of those curves is going to be different. Perfect. All right, we're going to go ahead and add a tail. It looks like it's going to start right about here and be about this wide. And it's going to come out and around like this. Perfect. and I think it's a little skinnier towards the top. Now we can go ahead and add his horns and his ears. So first I'm going to draw the ear because it overlaps the body. I think that's going to help me place it. So it's going to start right about here. Pay attention to how much distance is from this point to the outside of that ear. And it's going to come over and in like this to that point. Very good. And now I'm going to draw that first horn right above that ear. It's going to start right about here, and it's pretty wide, maybe to right about here. And I'm going to do this bottom line first. It's going to come over and overlap the top of our body there before kind of rounding out. Perfect. And then it's going to come up and over like this. Excellent. Perfect. Next, I'm going to mark where the other horn is. It looks like it's going to start right about here, maybe be about this wide, and it's going to come out and around like this before coming back in like that. Go ahead and draw that in. And then we can go ahead and draw the other ear that's right about here, right below this horn. And it's just going to come down slightly to about right here and come back in, just like that. Perfect. And actually, I am going to clean that up a bit. All right, very good. Let's keep going. All right, we're going to erase the lines of the body that overlap our ear and our horn. All right, we're starting to get into some detail now. This is really exciting. So first I'm going to draw this back line on the tail. It's along the bottom, just like that. Just separates that tail. We have small little triangles inside of our ears. They kind of match the first shape we drew for the outside of our ears. Very good. And next I'm going to draw the little fur on our goat's chin. So it's just going to come down like this and curve slightly. Down and curve. So these lines are just a little bit apart and they curve slightly to the left. And it's going to come up just like that before coming back down and up and then back down again. Perfect, just like that. Excellent. I'm gonna draw in his two eyes. They're just long ovals. Perfect. And don't forget the line for his nose and his mouth. So it's gonna be right above our fur on the chin. And we're gonna have a little V and then a straight line down, just like that. Perfect, he looks super cute. All right, next we're going to draw the hills behind him. So I see a hill that's going to start right about here. It's going to come up almost to the top of that tail, but not quite. So draw that in and back down. And then the rest of the hill is going to start right about here on his face, or behind his face, I should say, before coming up and then back down like that. Perfect. All right, and up next we're going to draw little tiny bumps. This is going to be the grass below him, right across the page, and I'll show you how to do this best. It looks like it's right in line with his little hooves, so I'm going to lightly draw a straight line, very, very lightly. I'm not going to keep this line. And I'm gonna draw it all the way across So that way, when I'm ready, I can go ahead and erase this, but then just put the little bumps on top of it. That way I know that I'm gonna have a straight line all the way across for our ground. So go ahead and do that now. These are just little tiny bumps. The height changes just a little bit. So kind of talk your way across the page, right? Make sure your eye and your hand are working together. All right, and last but not least, we need to add spots on his back. So I'm going to draw one spot here. It's pretty close to the edge of that tail, and it looks like it's gonna come to about right here. We have a small one right about here, before another big one right here, and one here. All right, now that we've drawn in those spots, we can take our Sharpie, go over all the lines that we've made, and then take our pearl eraser and erase away any pencil lines we have left. Let's get to it. All right, now that we've finished going over our goat with our Sharpie and eraser, we're ready to start coloring. Everything looks great so far. We're gonna start by coloring in our background first, and I'm going to start with this beautiful sunset in the background. We have a nice purple followed by pink, orange, and yellow. So I am going to use these colors in this order and block in that sky first. So go ahead and get started. All right, that sky looks wonderful, and now we're ready to color in our hill and our grass. So we have a beautiful highlight along the top of our grass, followed by a nice shade of green. So I'm gonna use this highlight, very light color as the highlight, and this sort of medium shade of green for the rest. Now, I'm telling you that because I'm going to use an even darker green to fill in this back hillside first. So make sure that you have all the shades of green that you need before you start coloring. And I'm gonna fill in the hill, followed by our nice highlight along the top, and then a lighter shade of green for the rest of that grass. So let's get started. All right, that background looks wonderful. I'm so excited to finish up this drawing with you guys. So up next, we're gonna go ahead and color in our goat, right? Last step. But make sure that you have all the different shades of tans and browns that you think you might need. As always, do the best with what you have. If you're using markers like I am, the colors might not match exactly, but that's okay. First things first is I'm going to take this beautiful sort of muted coral color, and I'm going to color around the nose and the little mouth, because there's just a nice sort of pink tone right there. I see a similar sort of pink along the top of the tail, I think from that beautiful reflection of that sunset. So I'm gonna use the same color as that sort of nice pink glow that I see along the tail, the top of our back, and along the outside of that head. So go ahead and do that now. All right, perfect. And now I'm going to use this light tan beige color, and I am going to color in all of the tan areas of my goat. I'm not going to color in the spots or the underbelly or the bottom part of our tail. Leave those darker areas, we'll use a different color for that. But go ahead and use this light tan or something similar and fill in those sections now. Be sure not to go over the highlights that you've made. All right, very good. Now we can go ahead and color in the darker areas like the spots and the underbelly as well. I'm going to use this light brown tannish color as a highlight on those spots. And then I'm going to fill in the rest with this slightly darker brown. So go ahead and do that now. I see a highlight just slightly along the top of those spots. And I'm going to use the same color as a light shadow on my lightest tan here. I see a shadow along the side here that then comes down. Perfect. Now let's take that slightly darker brown and fill in the darker areas of our spot, belly, and tail. All right, very good. Our goat looks gorgeous so far. I'm really excited about this. So next we can go ahead and block in those dark grays and sort of darkish browns for the horns and our hooves. So I am going to use this gray to fill in the majority of the hoof, but then use this dark brown as the shadow underneath it. It's going to be difficult. There is a lighter gray on top. That's not going to match exactly because I don't have a lighter gray marker. So I'm going to use this light purple, and I'm just going to lightly go along the top of that horn. Now I can go ahead and fill in the rest of the horn with our gray. I'm going to fill in the hooves as well. And then I'm going to take this sort of grayish brown, and I'm going to use it as a shadow along the bottom of this horn. And along the bottom of our hooves. Perfect. And last but not least, we are going to go ahead and take our Sharpie and fill in our goat's eyeballs. Now keep in mind there are tiny white circles towards the upper right hand corner of those eyes. Don't color those in. When you go to color your eyes, just leave a little tiny space there. All right. And that's our project. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please send us pictures of what you've been working on. We can't wait to see it. Stay safe and check in soon for more projects from StudioUs.